Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I want to say thank you so much to Less Cancer and to the University of Virginia for allowing us to come together today to discuss these important issues. It's so very important, and this is the way we make change, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm also grateful to get this award. I'm so humbled by being associated with Elsie Hillman, who is just an amazing, kind, and gracious person who worked really hard to protect women's rights, to protect the rights of LGBTQ, and also to prevent cancer. And it's so important to do all of these things. And she did that as a Republican, working across party lines, which is something I really tried to do. As Bill mentioned, I was a state representative, and really the way I got things done was to work across party lines in a Republican supermajority in my state. So it's really important. If this is a bipartisan issue, cancer is not partisan. I'm also honored to be here amongst the former recipients, which is Pennsylvania Congressman Charlie Dent and our own senator from the state of New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan, whom I met as governor, then governor of the state of New Hampshire. When I blew the whistle on the pediatric cancer cluster in our state, we have a double pediatric cancer cluster of very rare forms of cancer in a 5-town area of the Seacoast of New Hampshire. And I blew the whistle on that. I was asked to serve on Governor Hassan's task force. And then Tom Sherman, who is associated with this organization, Less Cancer, on the board, asked me to run to replace him. And as a 30-year environmental scientist, I thought he was crazy. But he said, no, we need scientists making policy. And I came to find out that he was really right about that. He was so right about that. Campaigning for the seat, I learned about how people in my community were very upset about the high rates of not only the children with cancer, but we have other kinds of cancers that are very high in the state of New Hampshire. I was then elected and went to work knowing what I had to do to prevent cancer by creating policy that would prevent cancer exposure to arsenic, as Elsie talked about. We have arsenic levels in our state that are responsible for very high rates of bladder cancer, the highest in the country, 37% higher than the national average. So my bill, which is about to be enacted this fall, will cut that level of acceptable exposure to arsenic in half, which I'm very proud about. And while I was doing the work to research that bill, I found out that 12 years ago, the state of New Jersey did the exact same thing. And yet they had much lower rates of bladder cancer in the state of New Jersey. We could have saved probably about $65 million just in direct public health costs from treating those people with bladder cancer if we had acted sooner. So very important to have people involved in policy. In our state's answer to when they were called to hear this bill, they said we never had a scientific legislator mandate us to do this. So it's really important for everyone to be involved in understanding how important it is to enact policy like this. So through my work in the Statehouse, I realized that New Hampshire not only has the highest rates of pediatric cancer in the country, also esophageal cancer in the country, bladder, and breast cancer. So New Hampshire faces a cancer crisis, and it's really important for us to continue to work on those issues. As Sherlock Holmes said when he asked about coincidence, the universe is rarely that lazy. So there are ways to prevent cancer, like we have talked about here so far, to enact stricter environmental regulations and talk about these things. So I'm very thankful to be here. The other things I've worked on are the PFAS issue, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And what I learned through the process of working on these policy issues in New Hampshire is EPA is really broken, and we really need to have states become much more nimble, much more protective of our people, and I'm really working hard to continue to do that in the state of New Hampshire. We know that the EPA has suppressed important health studies that show public health impacts from these chemicals, and it's really important for us to all be involved. I'm working with several congresspeople that you will see here probably today. And I just wanted to say thank you again to Less Cancer. This is so important. Bill Cousins has been such an amazing support figure for me in the last few years. And congratulations for you all being here, because it's the first step in working toward preventing cancer. Thank you.